Has Wizards of the Coast killed Dungeons and Dragons? People are saying they have. People are looking for alternatives. Are they right to do so? This is Ill-Informed Opinions with Joseph Cadotte. I'd like to start by saying that I am a content creator in Dungeons and Dragons and have been since I was 10 years old, about 40 years ago. I have built my own worlds from the beginning, and I have been working on a project which some of you may know about, which we call the Sub Rosa Project, which is a urban fantasy version of Dungeons and Dragons. What Wizards did in the last few weeks has been extremely stressful for people like me. I'm not talking about their attempt to control the digital assets that are associated with Dungeons and Dragons, although some people are. And because I am not ever going to see much money, if any, from this project, I'm not as worried about the royalty problem, which they are trying to shove down our throats. I am, however, worried about their policies, which basically mean that intellectual property could be seized by them at will if it's based in Dungeons and Dragons in 5th edition, 3rd edition, or, God forbid, 4th edition. This is a serious problem for a lot of us. And the reason why is very simple. One of the reasons that 5th edition has been so amazingly successful is it's incredibly adaptable. It is possibly the easiest system I have ever used in 40 years in making my own scenarios, my own environments, my own monsters, worlds, and so on. It is better than GURPS and Savage Worlds, both systems made specifically to allow such freedom of creation. But 5th edition is actually a lot easier to work in. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those two systems. I think they're very good, but they aren't as good as 5th edition in this regard. A few weeks ago, for those of you who don't know, there was discussion of a new open gaming license by Wizards of the Coast. Open gaming license, or OGL as I'll refer to it throughout the rest of this, is basically the document that allows players of Dungeons and Dragons and other entities to create their own work without having to get permission and licensing from Wizards of the Coast and their parent company, Hasbro. It was put in place in 2000, well before Wizards was bought by Hasbro. 4th edition did not have an open gaming license, or OGL. This meant that you could not legally make product for 4th edition without the explicit permission of Wizards. Now, for home use, you've always been able to do something. And that's because, first, no one would know. Second, policing it is impossible. Third, and this is important, there's no real profit in it. So, you could always do this for your home group. But the OGL allowed companies and individuals to create and distribute work for free or for profit, their own ideas, their own customizations to Dungeons and Dragons. And it's a big reason why it has spread so much. Because not only do you have one company working on it, you have a whole host of creators. 90% plus of the players will never see any of this. They will only see Wizards of the Coast product, and that's fine. The other products are supplemental and they're targeted towards specific niches. Mine is targeted towards modern urban fantasy. There are not many out there right now that do, so I think the market is there and it's something I'm interested in, and I've read a lot of urban fantasy, so I think people could have a lot of fun with it. Others write steampunk, others write old fantasy, others write horror. There's a whole branch. There's basically genre after genre available, which is based on this Open Gamers license. So, the new one, however, does several things which people don't like. First, and least important, it says that they're trying to protect themselves on the internet in terms of NFTs and other content created for profit for digital distribution. I understand this. There are companies like Roll20 and so on that will be hurt by this, and they have a right to be upset. PC Gen, which used to be an excellent, I think still is an excellent character generator, to protect itself, long ago made itself system agnostic. So you could use it for so many different systems, and you could write it to be used by other systems. There was a way to use XML to code it, and I've done that actually. And Roll20 is supposed to be system agnostic and so on, but taking away the biggest part of their use could destroy the nonprofit and for-profit groups behind products like these. Okay, so that is a problem. It's not one that affects me directly in any way, but it is a problem. And I don't blame them for trying to secure NFT and other crypto assets, because even though crypto assets are a complete and utter scam at this stage, and probably for the next 10 years at least, there are still value to be found in them because people are willing to trade them, and content creators should be able to control what gets turned into a crypto asset. So I don't begrudge them that. I think it's actually appropriate for them to do that. The rest of it, not so much. Similarly, they want to charge royalties to companies that are making a profit off of this. I do not have a problem with that. They created the content. Everything else is derivative work. And as derivative work, there should be some payment transferred over based on profits. I think 5% of gross receipts or 10% of net receipts would be a very reasonable royalty, and similar to other works that have been published that are derivative in other industries. And so I think that's a very reasonable thing. The problem is they're asking for 25% of gross receipts after $750,000. This seriously can eat into costs because the publishing industry has the low profit margin. 25% above that will drastically hurt these 6 companies thus far which make that level of money. And those are the 6 largest promoters of Dungeons and Dragons who are not Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast. So they're shooting themselves in the foot there. The last thing, and the one that's most worrisome to people like me, since I'll never hit that 750,000 marker, is that you have to make clear what you're doing to Wizards, and they will be able to use what you are doing, since it is derivative, in their product, regardless of whether or not you give them permission, and they can make money off of it regardless of whether or not you give them permission. Legally, I think they have this right. This is similar to what other companies do. I don't know if this has been challenged in court. but I do know that companies like Paramount do the same thing with Star Trek, and it's simultaneously a CYA, a cover your ass, so that you don't have to worry as Paramount or Hasbro that someone's going to claim that they ripped off your idea, because you already said any derivative work is basically my idea anyways. But it violates the entire inherent spirit of the roleplay game community, as well as policies that Wizards has been following since 2000. So, if they find out about a special monster you like, or you put something up on D&D Beyond that you like, well, as I've created some stuff and put it up on D&D Beyond, then you can have that seized according to this new open gamer license. Well, this is all horrible, and it's a lot of what my wife calls killing the golden goose. So there was a lot of protest. The 6 largest companies got together and started talking about making their own systems. Paizo, which makes the Pathfinder and Starfinder system, is well on its way to doing so as it is, and wouldn't take much to do it. The other the largest publisher, Cobalt Press, who works extensively with Wizards of the Coast, has decided to go forward with its Black Flag system, which is basically a competitor, and since they have a lot of fans in the modding community, then they have a good chance of seeing that be successful. I'm not sure about the other projects, and I myself was looking to work with Cobalt Press or Savage Worlds or some other system, because if Wizards of the Coast owns my intellectual property, I can't put anything out for Wizards of the Coast. That's the key problem. There is no way I can put something out for Wizards of the Coast if they own my property. I wish it wasn't true, but it is. So there are huge protests. And people quit D&D Beyond over this, which is Wizards just bought so they could have its digital assets, which was a smart decision on their part, by the way. But there was just so many problems that people saw that there was a huge fan uproar. Both Paizo and Cobalt Press's websites were slammed so hard that they got shut down multiple times by people trying to find alternatives and asking what these companies would do for the alternatives. So, as of this recording, Friday, January 13th, Wizards has missed multiple deadlines to display their new OGL. And they finally came out with a comment around noonish today, which was that they were not going to charge royalties, and they will not be seizing anyone's intellectual property assets. And that makes me cautiously optimistic, but I have yet to see the actual document written up where they guarantee this. I don't know if I should continue working on this stuff with 5th edition as the baseline, or should I switch over to something else? And I'm stuck in a limbo because it's a big ask to change systems after you are started. And I could easily do it in terms of intellectually as an exercise, and I built the Sub-Rosa system so that I could functionally shift it in one way or the other. However, it's a lot of work, and I honestly don't know right now if I should do that work. I hope they've seen the light and recognize that, as they stated, they rolled a natural one with this. But I honestly can't tell until I see a real document. And that's my dilemma as a content creator, even after they've admitted their mistakes and seem to be going back on the worst things that they had put forward. So, if you are interested in urban fantasy 5th edition role-playing, while it is still legal for me to do it without sacrificing my property, feel free to contact me. I am currently distributing the base game free, and I hope people find it interesting. I'm Joseph Cadotte. This has been Ill-Informed Opinions, and feel free to contact me with any questions, comments, rebuttals, angry insults, or the like. I look forward to talking to you later.